some point, you get called to hit the road, be it deployments, road trips, or recovering down planes in the field. Some of the best and worst times are on the road. In some cases, you know nothing but living on the road. From truck stops, crappy hotels, long drives, and even crappier diets, life on the open road isn't just for truckers.
Yeah, Six. So being in the aviation realm, you spend a lot of life on the road, whether it's military or civilian. In the civilian side, we call it AOG, aircraft on ground, and you go where the plane breaks. And I know in the military, if you got special mission going somewhere and that plane decides to crap out 1,000 miles away, guess where you're going? 1,000 miles away to fix it.
Absolutely. I can remember this one time when I was having a very nice long weekend. We were scheduled to have a 4-day weekend, matter of fact. And then my phone starts ringing at 11 o'clock at night. At this time, I'm dead ass asleep because I stayed up 24 hours prior to that. And I don't know what drew me to answer that phone. I probably shouldn't have, but I did anyway. And they say, hey, we have a plane that went down in the field. We need you to grab your stuff and get going. I'm like, fuck, all right. So here I am at 11 o'clock, waking my dusty ass self up, grabbing all my shit, going to the shop, getting all my tools, getting the lowdown of what happened, and then hopping on a van and driving 300 miles to wherever the hell this plane is in the middle of Fucksville, nowhere.
Yeah, only to get there and realize you didn't get the entire story and figured out that you didn't bring all the right tools for the job and or parts to complete that job.
Absolutely.
So you either got to drive the 300 miles back and then back to where the aircraft's at, or we usually had like a parts runner on standby. Yep. And you will call in another guy, which, the parts runner is essentially, he's just another mechanic. And you call him up and say, hey, man, I need you to run me out hydro fluid, this tooling, and whatever else, whatever specialty items are required to complete that job.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened. So here I go, drive 300 miles out to wherever this plane was. We figure out what the heck is actually wrong because they didn't even tell us what was wrong. They just say, hey, plane went down. On the field, go get it. Like, okay, so we're bringing like some tools, but we don't know exactly. It's one of those things like you don't know what you're gonna find, so you just kind of bring the bare minimum because you don't want to bring too much. And you show up there. Oh, by the way, here's the problem. Fuck. And you try to catch the parts guy before he leaves for the day or whatever the hell he's doing for the day. Hey, parts guy, can you get us these tools and these parts and which have you, and then shoot it up our way? And I don't know how it works for you guys on the AOG or the corporate realm, but these parts runners that do all the running for us aren't exactly the smartest or the greatest when it comes to aviation. It's just like a bunch of dudes where like, hey, man, here's the keys to this van. If you get a call, just do what they tell you and go. I'm like,
yeah, they're competent enough to have a driver's license, but that's about it.
That's about it. And it's like, why are you here? You're worthless. Like, just God bless, man. So to that one story, the reason why this plane went down was because the transmission mount broke off of the aircraft. So this aircraft was basically flying on 4 bolts. Just picture that for a minute, right? Four bolts about, I'd say, 2 inches long is what's holding the aircraft in the air. Just mind blown, right? And we didn't know that. We didn't know
really
that.
Bad.
We didn't know that. So we come there, it's like we start looking around what went wrong. We're thinking it was like an engine failure or some silly stuff like that. And we find this transmission is basically hanging on by a thread, literally a thread. I'm like, holy shit. You guys are lucky to be alive right now. Like, I would just take the rest of the day off. Just don't even stick near this plane. Just go home because we'll find someone else to fly this back. You guys are so fucking lucky. And then we're trying to explain this to the parts dude. Hey man, we need this, and this. Like, no, what is that? What does that mean? Like, God damn it.
Yeah, so then you have to type up an extensive parts list with part numbers and serial numbers and whatever else, so then they can go to the stock room and pick out the parts that you need. And it got to the point for me in that aspect where I would just go, you know what? I'm going to call the stock room. I'll get the stuff on order that way. Just show up and say you're picking up for me, please. And don't forget anything on the list. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And that's assuming that even the people at the warehouse know what the hell you're talking about. Because then going back to a previous episode where it has to match what they got versus what you're telling them, like Jesus fucking Christ.
Or how about where there's a part number and then there's a mil spec part number. It's the same. It's the same component. There's just one for usually there's a civilian side part number, and then there's always a mil spec attached to it as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
So you might look up in the parts manual, and it has the mil spec listed in the parts manual. So then you go and you put that part request in, and then you get a call. Hey, we ain't got that part. Yeah, I'm looking in the inventory. You got one right here. No, I'm like, we have this part number. Yeah, it's the same thing, but we can't issue it out because this and that. We have to wait and get supervisor approval. Oh, please, I'm stuck in BFE out here. Just give me my parts so I can go home.
Please.
Like I got local. It's Christmas, for God's sake. I want to go home.
Just put it on the jiggle truck and let's get a move on, man. Please.
I know. I spent Thanksgiving in Detroit one time over a situation like that. Like, I just need the parts so I can go and have a nice Thanksgiving.
Oh, God damn it.
I'm in Detroit.
And then the worst of it all is when they send you the wrong stuff. Like, oh, God damn it.
Or yeah, I ordered this. Yeah, we couldn't find that, but this was close on, like, you ordered a -2, but we didn't have any of those. So we gave you a -3. Well, I ordered a -2 because I needed a -2. Yeah, but the -3 looks close enough. And being right is two different things, you know? And sometimes you get lucky where the dashes don't really matter and it works out, but more often than not, it hoses you.
Right.
From my side, one of my stories on the road is you get called out for something simple. Hey, aircraft flat spotted a tire on landing. All right, that happens, you know. Let me go out there and just change a main real quick. One of the mains, flat spot. All right, let me go change the mains real quick, and then they'll be on their way. You know, I'll do that during the night while the customer is asleep in the hotel. I'll go be the elf on the shelf and appear and change the mains out, but then you always get the call from control while you're out there. Oh, by the way, or the pilots will let you know once you get there, or they won't even tell you at all, and you just look in the book when you approach the plane, like, all right, I'm going to go do my write-ups. And you also notice a write-up in there. They put, generator on number 2 engine in op. Well, I need that. You're going to need that. Why didn't you say something? Now I really am. I'm 4 hours from base, and I need a generator. Now let me get one of those on order. And oh, by the way, your parts guy is off that night, so you're going to have to drive 4 hours home, pick that stuff up. Or in the AOG side, they're really good with like having parts couriered, but then you're just stuck there on the ramp waiting for the courier to show up in hopes that they get there in a timely fashion.
If they even get there, yeah.
If they even get there, yeah. Or you get 600 calls. Hey, do I turn here or do I turn here? Well, you're on the opposite side of LA, so you're gonna have to make several turns and get on this side of town. Like, do you not have Google Maps? I gave you the address. I don't understand.
Yeah, and nowadays we're fortunate for technology to give us onboard GPS or handheld GPS, aka Google Maps. Like, you remember those times when they just kind of give you like a grid square? You know, they pull up the Thomas guide and it's like it's between section A and B4. Like, what? You know?
Oh, yeah. So with that, okay. So in Van Nuys, there's Signature FBO, right? And they're a nationwide company or whatever, but there's a Signature East and a Signature West. So when I put in the parts for the courier, I'm like, come to Signature West. And they're like, okay, all right, we'll do. And so then you get a call. You call them later because you're expecting them to be there at any time. You know, they give you a timeline. It projected to be there 1800, whatever. So 1830 rolls around. Like, hey, are you almost on site? Yeah, I've been here for 30 minutes just sitting outside the gate. Nobody's let me in. Just wait. I'm like, well, are you? Because I'm looking at the gate right now and there's nobody there. Yeah, I'm sitting. It says Signature right here. Does it say Signature East? Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. All right. So I need you to go 2 miles to the west to Signature West like I initially asked you to do. And they're like, well, I'm already over here east. Can you just come get the part? And 9 times out of 10, you're like, you know what? Just don't move. I'll come to you and I'll get the part.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, thanks. And you're like, swear to God.
God damn it. Like, so those of you nowadays who've never lived outside of Google Maps, Thomas Guide and MapQuest was like the life, especially for those who travel so much, where Thomas Guide, they basically have that burned into their brain. Oh yeah, go flip the Thomas Guide page 75 or whatnot. I have a bunch of relatives who do exactly that. They are living, breathing Thomas Guides. So when I move them over to the Google Maps or Verizon GPS or whatever it is they use for onboard GPS, it blows their minds. Like, it gives me turn by turn of what I'm supposed to do. What is this shit? I'm like, yeah, that's a thing, man. MapQuest is gone, man.
I've never used a Thomas Guide. I did use MapQuest though. But you know how they say like, oh, you're using Google Maps though, you're essentially texting while driving because you're looking at your phone. Yeah, it gives you the audio commands, but you still want to look at it, and it's kind of, you still look at your phone to look at the map and whatever else. And you're like, well, by doing that, you're causing an unsafe accident on the road. You could cause an unsafe situation on the road, cause an accident, whatever else. But then I start thinking back to the MapQuest, or just using a map in general. And what's worse, looking at your small phone kind of out of the corner of your eye, looking at the road, or opening up a 12-foot by 12-foot map in the front seat of your car and trying to figure out where you're going while heading down the freeway. Like,
right? We're Goofy and Max, on the open road going to Great Falls, Idaho, like with the pencil and everything.
you have to roll down the window just to get the map to open fully.
Right. When you actually have to need a second driver to actually open the map.
Well, that was with my dad. My dad still likes to use maps. So like we just went to Yosemite a couple months back, and same thing. He's like, here, look at the map. And I'm like, I'm driving. I am, but I need you to hold this end of it. All right. And he's got a highlighter and he's highlighting the route and stuff, It's what he likes to do. And I guess it is a good skill to know how to read a map. But, especially if you get into an area where there's no cell service, but by the same token, boy, what a pain.
Right. So a funny story about maps and learning how to read maps and whatnot. So after boot camp, you go through 3 weeks of field training in the Marines anyway. And part of the course is learning how to read a map. And this was when GPS was coming on the up and up, or slowly coming on the up and up. And people started complaining like, well, we got these handheld or Humvee Blue Force Tracker GPSs now. Why the hell do we still need to learn how to read a map? And our instructor goes, see, batteries fail, especially when you need them. So here's your map. Here's your compass. Figure it out. Fuck. And one of the courses was a night navigation course. And we're trying to find all these same points that we found in the daytime, which was hard enough. And we're trying to find these in pitch dark. I'm like, where I'm supposed to go 3 clicks this way, and there should be a tree or something. I can't see shit. And this is one of those stealth, quote unquote, air quote, stealth missions where we're not supposed to turn on any lights. So we're like,
not even the red IR lights, right?
Yeah. So like, how the fuck am I supposed to read this? And so we're trying to find this point in the dark, and then we see like these two. Someone just finally say, you know what? Screw it all. I'm going to use my damn flashlight because I am fucking lost, right? And so he turns on his flashlight and he tries to look at his map, and then he starts looking around to see the waypoints or whatever have you. And we see these two glints in the darkness, right? Like, what the hell is that? And we start hearing like this little meowing sound, right? Like, what the heck is that? We go closer, stupid us. We go closer to the meowing sound, and then we look down, and it's this baby cougar, right? Oh. We see a baby cougar on the navigation trail. Oh hell! And then
where's mom at?
Yeah, exactly. And then we hear rustling like a couple of hundred yards away. Just hear rustling like a rushed rustling. Like, oh fuck, here we go. We get Mama B starting to come home. Everyone dip out. So here we go, chasing down this hill in the dark, trying to run away from this cougar. Like, oh my god!
Bunch of Marines at full sprint, barreling down the hillside. See, what I thought you were going to say was, he turned on his light, and then like velociraptors coming out of the darkness, the drill sergeant's there. You're dead. You're dead. All of you are dead. While they're knife handing you. You know what I mean?
That actually did happen. There's something like that did happen. you dead, all of you dead now. What you two live, you carry all of them back. Like,
and then they make you lay on the ground. You're dead on the ground, pretend you're dead. Yeah, and then you two carry all them back. But Sarge,
that's 300 pounds worth of gear each. Well, guess you're gonna get real strong today.
Lift with your legs, not your back, scrub.
Horsepower 3 PFC. Oh, God.
All 3 PFC.
Curse for 3 PFC.
3 PFC.
God damn it. Why? Where did I go wrong?
Oh man. So when you guys were on the road then, did you guys have to pull alongside the road, dig foxholes? Did you have to sleep in your vehicle? Did you stay in a hotel? All the above, depending, I guess, the situation and location on the globe?
Yeah, it depends on the situation. So, like, say if you're in a not so nice area, say a deployed setting, then yeah, you would sleep in the truck. You would dig a hole. You dig a sleeping hole, or some people call them ranger graves, where you dig a hole, you just sleep there, no blankets, no nothing, just hang out in there. Other times, you would sleep in the truck. You'll have like these adult diapers, or a Ziploc bag. So if you need to go, you just either go in the truck or you go in the Ziploc bag and continue on. But if you're in the mainland or somewhere of a civilized nature, then they'll try to coordinate you a hotel, which, all things being, they're going to try to get you in the cheapest hotel possible, which is probably one of those hotels that double as a meth house or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a Motel 6 where you open it up and you can smell the 80 years of smokers when they used to allow smoking in a hotel before that. Yeah. Those are super nice. I remember staying in a couple of those. But at that point in time, like, that's the only option you had. But I'd just rather sleep in the vehicle at this point, because I'm going to wake up and my allergies are going to be just kicking because I'm laying in Betty White's 1972 smoke. You know what I mean?
or like you open the door to check into your hotel and you interrupt like a game of Texas Hold'em with all the roaches, you know, because the roaches basically made it their home, you know. Like, can you close the door, please? Yeah,
you close the door. You're letting out the AC. Oh, sorry, excuse me, sir. For me, a lot of times, you get a call and it might be middle of the night, right? And you're like, all right, it's like you said earlier. All right, well, let me get up, get my life together, make it into the home base, get all my stuff loaded up, and then you get out there and it's 3 a.m. or you get out there. I don't know how far you're driving. Let's just say it's 3 a.m. You get out there at 3 a.m. You troubleshoot it down to parts, right? They know something's broke, but they don't know what's broke. You need to troubleshoot it, so we don't have any parts to order yet. All right, so you get out there and you troubleshoot it down to parts, and you put parts on order. But it's, again, at this point in time, 3:34. It's too late to get into a hotel. Everything's booked up. So you just you're in your van on the ramp next to the aircraft, and you just recline that passenger seat back, and that's where you're sleeping for the night. Feet up on the dash, whatever else, or you lay out. You bring like a little sleeping bag with you, and you roll it out in the back of the van, and you sleep back there all night with the O2 bottles and oil cans.
Yep, absolutely. Or sometimes, like when there's no hotel availability, like none, and your van or your vehicle is a little too packed together for you to sleep or do anything with it. So you sleep at the site, and say depending on what it is, you just roll it out, somewhere, sleep on the plane or near the plane or something to that effect. There used to be this joke of whenever Hueys went down in the field, it was like, oh, time to go to the Bell Hotel, because it's going to be a while before you get parts or tools or whatever you need. So you just open the cabin doors, you lay down your sleeping mats or whatever inside or around the plane and just crash out right there.
Yeah. I've slept under a wing before. Mm-hmm. That's all you had. That's the only option you had. You just had to sleep under the wing because you're just waiting for parts. And then, or you get lucky, right? So the ramp crew they shuffle planes around and stuff, getting things ready for the next day. Like in the AOG side of things, and the civilian side of things on AOG, you might get lucky enough they'll unlock the FBO's doors and let you sleep in the recliners in the pilot's lounge, and they'll just like, hey, we'll come get you at like 5 a.m. before the boss, and we'll wake you up so you can get out of here before then. And so, like, sometimes in the FBOs, you get lucky, they'll let you in there to do that. There's showers in there. So you always had a road bag, right? For me, in the trunk of my car, I always had a bag with at least 3 or 4 days of clothing, some shampoo, soap, an extra toothbrush, all the toiletries, whatever. That way, if you got in that situation, like, all right, well, at least there's a shower in the FBO, I'll go shower in there. But I mean, more often than not, you were just, hopefully you had baby wipes on the ramp, and that's what you could shower with.
Right. Just hit all the hot spots.
Yeah, and remember those orange wipes? They're like blue and they come in like a little tub.
Yeah, yeah.
They smell like citrus, like the orange citrus wipes or whatever they were. Sometimes you'd have to hit the hot spots with those. Yeah, it burned a little bit, but it killed the bacteria.
It exfoliates pretty good too, because anyone who knows anything, that stuff is gritty. It's lava soap basically. You're showering with lava soap.
It takes the top layer of skin. Yeah. You're clean.
That's how they did it back in the Roman days. They don't actually take showers; they just scrape off the first layer of skin.
Yeah, like the old gladiators. They had that wooden curved stick that they would scrape the dirt off their legs with.
Yeah,
so clean, so clean,
glorious. But at least that was the closest thing to sanitation back then. Before that, they would just literally piss in a bucket and toss it over their neighbor's yard. And just the cycle just repeats itself.
So I know, like being on deployments and stuff. From my experience, right? You go a couple weeks sometimes, maybe without a shower. Maybe there were showers available, but the water went out for some reason, or something happened. I don't know, but there was no water, so you're just shower wiping. That only gets you so far. The baby wipes only get you so far, and after a couple of weeks, everybody starts smelling pretty ripe. Now, by the same token, you become nose blind too because everybody smells ripe.
Yep.
But man, it's nothing like a good hot shower when you're on the road working.
Oh, I'll tell you, especially when you come home from being so ripe and then you come and then your family smells like, God damn it. What did you do? Where did you go? Like,
where were you at? Well, let's see. This spot's from fuel. This one's from hydraulic fluid. This one's sweat. This one's the greasy cheeseburger that I had to eat at 2 a.m. because that's all we had available. And the rest of it's sweaty feet. So yeah, there's a combination.
Just that mix of aromas and flavors that you just can't get anywhere else.
If I could just get a Yankee Candle called deployment. Like that in the house. What's that smell like, MVP? Oh, well, honey, that smells like depression.
Deployment depression.
Smells like deployment depression. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, right? So we've all been in crappy places. But I've also been in situations where, like, you had to head out to Palm Springs, and it was during like Coachella or a big tennis tournament that they have out there every year. So all the wealthy people flying in on their private jets, and so while the concert's going on, you're going there to fix them. But all the hotels that have decent prices, well, all the prices are jacked up anyways during that time. But all the rooms that were still a air quotes decent price were taken up. And so a lot of times the customer would book the room for you because they're a bigger name than you. So they have usually rooms allocated for their customers. They'll just buy additional rooms. And if they get filled up, great. And if they don't, whatever, they just want to have them on standby, and they have them for air crew and all that kind of stuff. So there's sometimes you're getting like the suite on the top floor because that's all that's available. And you're just going in under that customer's name. You get in, you're like, man, this is nicer than my house.
This could be my house, hell.
Like I can do sprints in the shower.
Right.
It's that big, It's so much room for activities. And yeah, so you get there and you're eating good food's available to you. Or like a couple of times you go to the Bahamas, right? You chase a jet out to the Bahamas, some wealthy person's out there on vacation, and you get out there and you troubleshoot it to parts. Well, it's going to be about 7 days till those parts get in there because of customs and everything else. And you're like, well, if you guys need me, I will be at the beach. And you have a rental car, right? So you just cruise around. You get essentially getting paid to just wait on parts and kind of be a vacation tourist for the week. Right. So you're like, man, this is super nice. Like, so on those trips, you always tell people like, where are you going? Oh man, make sure you always have in your to-go bag some swimming trunks and stuff. Because you might be on the road in one location and you might be in a complete dirt hole. And then as soon as you finish that job, like, hey, you're going to go over to the airport, jump on a plane. We got a 6 a.m. flight, and you're heading out to Virgin Islands or something. Ooh, all right,
All right.
So you just want to be prepared for any situation. But then by the same token, you might be in the Virgin Islands in February. It's pretty nice there. And the next flight, you're going to Goose Bay, Nova Scotia, where it's negative 40 and 4 feet of snow. So you kind of want to have a little mix of everything going on there because Lord knows you won't be in board shorts and flip-flops and negative 40.
I especially feel that as far as like having the customer land or break down in areas of convenience. So East Coast units do this all the time where they cross-country flight their aircraft from the East Coast to certain areas in the West, for training or for events or whatnot. And it almost always happens where they will, air quote, break down in Vegas. So it's like, oh, hey, I know we're supposed to be here at this time, but by the way, we broke down. So it's going to take us like a couple days, maybe a week or two to get all the stuff we need so we can be back on the road and going. So all of that we know is like, okay, where did you break down? The outskirts of Vegas, I bet you. Yeah, how'd you know?
Yeah, we broke down conveniently at the corporate airport, which is conveniently 7 miles due south of the Strip.
Right. Or they break down in
just happened to be you actually had to go out of your way because you were supposed to take the northbound route. How did you end up on the south side? Oh, well, local ATC redirected us to the south side of Vegas, and that's where we had to land. And then we encountered these problems. And okay.
Sure.
You're not even going to try to make up a better story. This is where we're at now. Okay.
Well, see, it's the middle of spring, so the density altitude is, weather and stuff like that. Oh, okay, Frank.
You wouldn't understand. It's piloty stuff. Oh, okay. All right.
So this has nothing to do with that major concert that's happening in Vegas this weekend, right?
Or that UFC fight. Not. Yeah. Definitely absolutely not because there's not a UFC fight in town. Okay.
No, definitely not. Or like they break down in New Orleans, like, no, it's not because of Mardi Gras. I'm not even religious. Fuck Mardi Gras.
Or how about when you're traveling overseas and you stop through a nice location en route to a really terrible location?
Oh,
and I guaranteed, it's always, if you're ever on a C5 Galaxy, that aircrew, I mean, that plane's kind of rough anyways, and it breaks a lot. But man, do those air crews use that to their advantage? Mm-hmm. They never fail. Like, where are we stopping through? Oh, we're stopping through Italy or something like that. Oh yeah, we're going to be here a minute. we're definitely we're Spain or whatever. Yeah, we're definitely breaking down. I can feel it as soon as you land. Yeah, hey, something broke on the plane. It's going to be about a week to fix it.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So I had a similar one like that where they broke down in Dubai. Now that place is swag. I'm telling you, that place is so nice. Their mall in Dubai is its own city, pretty much. Like, picture like a regular mall where the stores are about like mini versions of their regular sized ones. This mall in Dubai is a full size store inside a mall. So I remember when I first went in there, they had one of the sections I was at had a Best Buy. I was thinking it was going to be like one of those like kiosk kind of Best Buys, but no, it was like a full size Best Buy, 3 stories and all in this freaking mall. And that was just one store, and every store is exactly that same size.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you go to Dubai, it's like stepping into the future, and because everything's so nice and so new, and it's one of those few places in the world where money is never an issue.
Right.
Never an issue. It's never a concern. They're like, yeah, build it bigger and better. I don't care.
Right.
How much is it going to cost? $3 billion? That's fine. I'll make that up tomorrow. Just build it.
Right. Now, Dubai, that mall in Dubai also has a full ski hill in there.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. A full ski hill, like, okay, it's not one of those like expert level ski hills, but it's pretty big for people who ski and snowboard to actually have a decent time. And that was like that was where I learned how to snowboard. Magic, funny enough. I learned how to snowboard in an artificial snow hill in Dubai.
I remember looking at that same hill in Dubai and thinking like, this is about as big as what we got in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I can probably ski down this, but I couldn't, and I still ate it.
And they got full gear and everything, like full rentals and everything. It's like going to Big Bear or Ogden, Utah or something. It's like, wow, this is out of control. And this is in a mall in the middle of the damn desert, like, wow.
Did you know in Dubai they cloud seed? Once a week they cloud seed and to make it rain. Can you imagine that? So you can just schedule your life like, hey, nobody be outside from the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. because it's gonna rain on Wednesday, every Wednesday. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah,
just that kind of technology they have access to because of the money.
Yeah, we got that kind of money to make our own rain. Isn't that wild?
I know. Like I said, it's one of those few places in the world where money is never a concern, or at least it seems that way to me. But who am I? I'm just above the poverty line at this point.
Right? It's like, I'm just trying to live, man. I'm in there in the shitty hotel with the freaking gambling roaches and shit.
Yeah, I'm sharing a hotel room with a homeless guy. Like that's where I'm at in life. Hey man, another room's only $60 a night. You want to split it? Well, I got a half chewed piece of gum and a wrinkled up old newspaper. That's fine. We'll make it work.
Whatever, man. Just stay on your side. I'll stay on mine. It's cool. Now, that's assuming you stop, right? Now, you were mentioning before, like having to go long distance miles, like say 300 or more. And you know, those road trips, they suck. They suck.
They're brutal.
Mm-hmm. And so when you're on the road, you're trying as much as you got to get to the site at a certain time because of the customer or whatever have you. So you're like trying to do everything possible within legal means to stay awake through the whole time, the whole drive, you know?
Yeah, you and your, because usually for the most part, you were out on the road with another person. They never, I mean, yeah, you get sent out on the road by yourself if you just happen to be, but typically if it's going to be a bigger trip like that, they always send two people. So you're just daisy chaining, one sleeping while one's driving, and you're just going back and forth like that till you get to site. So then you drive. So example for me, we drove from West Virginia to Providence, Rhode Island, and was up there for 3 days in the cold and rain doing a job. And then we finished that job up, and we no sooner than finished that up, we get a call and said, hey, your next one's in Boca Raton, Florida. Well, all right, do you want us just to go to like the local airport, jump on a flight to Boca Raton, then we'll have to come back up to Providence to pick up the van and go? No, you're going to go in the van and you're going to drive to Boca Raton. Oh my God. Are you serious? And yeah, they're serious. And there you are, driving 16 hours to Boca Raton, Florida. How you didn't die on the drive there, you're not really sure because you're still a little cloudy because of sleep deprivation. Right. And you're going there to work on an engine change because that's what the job was.
Oh, hell. Right. And that's when you come up with all the crazy potions and concoctions to keep you awake throughout the drive, you know, both you and your buddy. So like, you start getting experimental, like you start brewing coffee with Monster energy drinks just to keep yourself awake.
Yeah, you're mixing 5-hour energies with an energy drink and also adding a scoop of like pre-workout in there. just for added kick. So then your heart's about to explode, but you're wide awake driving 95 in a van that should be only doing 55 max. Everything's clanging around in the back because it's really not strapped in that well. You just kind of hucked everything in there to go.
Right. Like you're driving so fast on this old beater that's not supposed to be topping out at 45. So it feels like you're re-entering Earth's atmosphere and shit because it's so bumpy.
Looking at your counterpart like, we're going to lose the hood at any point in time. I got a feeling. And then your counterpart goes, to hell with it. It'll be better cooling for the engine. All right. Just keep going.
So that reminds me, man, like, I think a lot of energy drinks capitalize on people on the road, like with 5-hour energy drinks. There was this one, I remember when it first came out, it was called Red Line. And
oh yeah,
it wasn't like a drink. It was more like a syrup, right? It's like the same thickness as cough syrup. And it says on the bottle, do not drink more than 50% of this bottle if it's your first time. Right? Stupid ass me. I didn't read that. I didn't even know to read that. I never knew energy drinks even came with a warning, you know? So they say, so here I go. I drink the whole thing. And you would think like my heart would be like pounding out of my chest, but it was so much caffeine that I felt like everything was in slow motion. That's how fast I was going, you know?
Oh yeah. You know what I mean? Moving at the speed of sound pretty much.
Yeah. Or well, what's that one cartoon? Over the Hedge, that one squirrel, you know what I'm talking about? Where they gave that squirrel a soda and then he sees like the sprinklers in slow motion because he's going so fast.
So we had a guy on my first deployment ever, and he used to bring his bicycle with him, right? We had these tough boxes we would bring with all of our stuff in it, and he would break down his bicycle. It was like a BMX bike, and he would put it in the tough box, and then when we got to site, he would build it back up. So like, because we were going to be there for 6 months, you know, so he would just ride a bike around. He could keep training going, whatever else, just for fun. And I remember one day he mixed C4, which I think was a pre-workout from back in the day, and like one of the one of the bigger cans of Monster Energy, one of like the 28 ounces or something like that.
Oh yeah, the BFC.
Yeah. So he mixed those together, and then we see him like he's riding around the ramp like at 100 miles an hour on this bicycle. It's just like, hey guys. Hey, pass you like, excuse me, line of dustpan, look like the Roadrunner, you know, from Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. And then like an hour goes by, and me and the other guy are like, hey, have you seen so-and-so? No, man. Actually, I haven't seen him in a while. Let's go look for him, make sure he's okay. We go out into the hangar, and he's like passed out on top of the workbench, like one arm and leg hanging off of it, like face down, just snoring and drool coming out of his mouth. Like the crash was real. We went over and poked him to make sure he was still breathing, though. Like, hey, it's like Cool Runnings. Hey, Sanka, you dead, man?
Sanka, you dead? That was a good freaking movie, man. Oh, shit. But, you know, the crazy things you do, man, just to, A, make it to the site, and then B, continue working so you don't fall asleep on the job or whatever have you. It's just some of the craziest shit, man. Shoreline, man, is your experiences with live concerts and stuff, I'm sure you guys are on the road or have to go to different sites like so many times within a day, week, performance, what have you. Have you ever done anything like that where you had to sleep on the site because there's just so much going through?
And I've had a few different experiences I can think of. So there was one show, one of our biggest shows that we do pretty much every year. You know, it's one of those where you work through the night because you weren't able to get into the room until super late because they had another event going on. And so, I mean, we were working for 20 hours straight. And then I was like, oh, well, I got to go to the hotel room. And then I got locked out of the hotel room. So I was like, screw it. I don't got enough time. I'm just going to sleep under the stage. I'm going to sleep for about 20 minutes and they start bringing in the table and chairs.
So they built the stage.
So it just sounds over toppy. Sounds like nails on it.
Yeah. So I'm just under the stage, right? So I'm just like, okay, cool. Well, that was a good 20-minute nap. Let's get up and work another 24 hours straight. Like, and no joke. And that's exactly how that day went. You know,
you kind of start to wonder after a while, how does the body continue functioning that way? And truth be told, it really doesn't.
At some point, you just kind of hit autopilot. And, you know, I was working with a band with 7 vocalists, and that's not easy to do, especially when it's a bunch of rented gear that I'm not entirely familiar with. And I was pretty green at the time. And, man, at some point I did. I just went on autopilot and yes, no, got it all done. And everybody's like, oh, you did really well. I don't remember it.
Don't remember a thing about it. Don't remember a thing about it.
You know, so like that's a good no sleep story. But also as far as hotel rooms go, I've stayed in some janky hotel rooms, man. I remember one specifically. We were on the road and the venue was about 200 miles away from home. And, you know, we get down there, we load everything in, we do the show, we tear everything out. So it's been about an 18-hour day and go back to the hotel room. Okay, cool. So pull into the hotel room. It kind of looks sketchy from the outside, but I'm like, whatever, it's fine. So we're sitting out there. A couple of my buddies are smoking, and there's these 2 people standing outside of one of the hotel rooms, watching very closely everybody else coming in and out of the hotel room. And you see a couple girls with a couple dudes walk up, and the couple dudes come down, and then the couple girls come down, and then the couple girls go back up with another 2 sets of dudes. And then, so yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys can all piece together what's going on here. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be one of these. That's fine. Then I get into the hotel room. There's blood on the walls. There's God. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm sleeping in my car. This ain't happening. Like, so I started driving home, and part of the way driving home, I mean, just after such a long day, I was just like, okay, I got to pull into a rest stop and just nap it out for however long, you know. But a few stories like that, you know, just no other hotels available, and so you got to stay at the cheapest place in town, and it's sketch, man. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's one of those disgusting. Where you're like, I'm not stepping foot in that bed. Not happening.
That's how you get the Hep C.
Yeah.
So I got a question, Shoreline. Does your industry have standards for, I'm going to say crew rest, because that's all I know how to refer to as. So in aviation, pilots, after 12 hours or after working, they have to have a minimum of 12 hours off before they can fly again. So I know that doesn't pertain to maintainers at all. They say there's rules out there where maintainers, you're only supposed to work. I think it's like after 16 hours, you have to take 8 hours or something off. But let's face it, after like I've worked, let's just say in a 2 week period, I've worked 220 hours in 2 weeks. Like that's balls to the wall. And you're sleeping an hour here, 30 minutes there, whatever. Like it's not even really sleep at that point. It's just exhaustion. And so, but you know, the air crew gets their min 12 so they can make sure they get their makeup and stuff done. And while we're out there in the middle of the night, like I said, the elves coming to put their toy together for the next day. So for your industry, is there any such, like or maybe even Six can expound on this for the military side? The military would say, well, you know, you're not going to work on an aircraft past 12 hours, but we can keep you another 4 pushing a broom around that hangar because you're not technically working on the plane. It's like, no, I don't want to do that.
But please.
So yeah, in my industry, there is nothing like that.
No regulations at all?
Nope. It is, of course, a lot of the people in my industry are freelancers, so they will kind of say, you know, I'll do this rate up to 10 hours, and then anything after that is time and a half or double time. But ultimately, it's like you work until there is no work and then figure it out. You know, it's I have been on shows that have lasted 4 hours. I've been on shows that have lasted damn near 24 to 48 hours straight.
Like a festival?
Yeah, I mean, in festivals, you know, especially if it's a multi-day festival, you know, it's got a pretty strict schedule, so you know you'll be off by a certain time. I prefer festivals because generally you'll have a load-in day, everything's set up, you roll in the next day, you do whatever work you can with whatever bands there are that day, get a game plan going, you run through a day, and then you walk away at the end of the day, and then you come back the next day and do the same thing. But when it's these shows where it's like either it's you have a limited time on load in, or you have, I've also been in situations where it's like, cool, we have this rig go, like this audio and lighting rig going to this 4th of July show. Then the next day we have this other thing at a motorcycle rally going on, and we're going to use the same rig, and we're going to have you work at this one over here, load in, do the show, load out, and then go straight from that one, drive the gear, literally drive that truck just to the next job site, do the same thing, and then go back.
That sounds a lot like AOG work. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, you know, and that happens. So as far as standards on rest, there are none.
And so to go with the terrible sleep schedule and already diminishing health aspects of that, the diet is also goes to hell pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I can't tell you how many gas stations I've eaten in
because it was open 24 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only thing around that's open. You know, it's a struggle out there trying to find some good food. Every once in a while, you get placed in a hotel that is next to a grocery store or something, and you're like, "Cool, I get to have a sandwich tonight." Or, you know, something that's other than fried food, you know?
Like, well, what are those in the gas stations, the tornadoes, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like the fried burrito kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, the fried, the heart attack.
On those. Yeah.
Yep, I lived like off of beef jerky, and that's actually probably one of the healthier things I would actually get. But like sometimes you try to get like a fruit in a cup. You try to make the right decisions, but then ultimately, again, it's fast forward and it's middle of the night again. What's open? Mm-hmm. Well, this one, either Denny's or like a Whataburger or some combination here in Van Nuys, Norm's is open. But again, it's not exactly the best for you. So I can tell you, when I was working AOG and being on the road so much, I wasn't doing good. I wasn't looking after myself. Wasn't exercising. That's a big part of. But it's hard to do that when you're working 220 hours in 2 weeks, right? When you're going to exercise, you ain't got no time for it. Right. But I was pushed up over 300 pounds. Is somewhere like 310. 310 is where I peaked at before I started reeling myself back in some. But it's just like and then you can't do your job as well. You get that big, and then you're trying to move around the aircraft or a stage in your case, and you're trying to do all these things, and you're wheezing heavily because you're so overweight and just it's not good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not good at all.
On the flip side of that, I've also stumbled across some great restaurants being on the road, you know, where you do end up with a little extra time or it's just the only thing open and you're like, well, I guess I got to stop here. One that comes to mind is I was over in Yakima doing a show, and shout out to Miner's Family Restaurant because that was the best burger I've ever had. One of the most expensive burgers I've ever had, but it was great. And especially at, 2 a.m. when it was the only thing open, we were like, well, got to stop in.
It's like, whatever, just feed me.
Yeah.
That'll be $40, whatever. Just give it
you know what? Or
just got off a 20-hour day and I sliced my finger open. So I've got a Band-Aid that's made out of paper towels and E-tape. I used their paper towels and my E-tape and got a bandage out of it. So that was cool.
I've been there before too, where you're like, I can't do any fast food anymore, and I'm sick of going to the truck stop. So one of the places that comes to mind for me was the Saltgrass Steakhouse down in Houston.
Okay,
and I was like, you know what? I got some per diem built up. I'm tired. I'm gonna go get some real good food. And I'm telling you, them steaks were expensive, but oh my god, they were so good.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to treat yourself. Time to time.
So going on to steaks, MVP. So I was in Australia, and there was this one steak restaurant. We haven't been to a steak restaurant in Australia up to that point. So I said, you know what, let's go here. And we saw the price tag for most of these. Granted, these are Australian dollars, so it's like 75 cents to an American dollar, but so not that bad. Anyway,
okay,
we're seeing the menu, and the lowest price they got is $45. Ooh. Right? So I'm like, wow, but whatever, man. It's like, we haven't had steak in a while. Let's do it. Chris, treat yourself, let's treat ourselves, especially because, we haven't been eating that great up to that point. So we go in, we decide to check the menu, and these guys, they must be like the best steakhouse in Australia or something, because they come out with like this display platter, and it shows you all the different steaks they got and some of their recommendations to eat them. Like, here's our prime New York strip. We recommend you eating it like this. Here's our ribeye steak. We recommend eating like this. And then they had this one where it was Australian Wagyu Marbling Score 7. That's what it was called. It was that long of a title. And we're like, ooh, what's that one? And if anyone's ever seen Wagyu steak ever, that is ridiculous good. And that's Japanese Wagyu. So here's Australian. It's a little bit different, and they score it a little bit different, but it looks relatively the same. They're like, ooh, how much is that one? Oh, this one here, this is for like those special occasion steaks. I'm like, well, this is kind of a special occasion. What's that? And this one here is about $150. Like, fuck. Whatever, give it to me. Just give it to me. If we're gonna blow it good.
When am I ever going to maybe get the opportunity to eat this again? So let me just again treat yourself.
Right. And so we ordered 3 plates of those, right? So picture 3 plates of that Marbling Score 7 Wagyu, Australian Wagyu, was about $500 in total, you know what I mean?
Ooh,
including the taxes and all the other shit. So $500 for 3 plates. Nah, expensive, but it was so fucking worth it. It was great. It was like a different experience in itself. If you guys have never tried Wagyu, both Japanese or Australian, give it a shot. I'm telling you.
Highly suggest it. It melts. It literally melts in your mouth. Right? It's so good. I'm mouth watering just thinking about this right now.
Yeah. But again, going back to the diets, like both the bad end of it, where you just surviving off gas station food and Hot Pockets and whatnot, to treating yourself at a restaurant, this is all stuff you just encounter on the road. And sometimes, and you eat what you can, when you can, because you can. Because if you don't, then, like, it's just part of that breakdown that you're already inducing because you're sleep depriving, you're work depriving, and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, my suggestion would be if I were to do this over again, or to do the AOG life over again, I think what I would do is I would buy a cooler that I would keep in the van, and I would have waters in there. I would have maybe something with some electrolytes, but I would try to keep some fruit in there. So just some healthier options, right? Just that way, as long as you're traveling, you can just kind of snack on something, whatever else, to get you to hopefully a place where you can find a better meal. But at least you're not every meal is just downing a 5,000 calorie greasy bag. You know what I mean? Like,
and I think that's where like all these meal prep or meal delivery services come in very handy. Like like Blue Apron, HelloFresh. What's it?
That'd be that's actually a great idea, Six. Put those kind of things, get those pre made meals. And if you're starting from your home base, obviously not every road trip's going to be the same, but you can start at your home base and throw those in the cooler as well. And then if you get, like most gas stations, I think have a microwave inside them, right? If you want to heat it up, stop in there, throw that in the microwave, and at least you're doing something better for yourself.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, when I was over 300 pounds, I felt like crap.
So hey, maybe
horrible.
That's an idea for a lot of these guys who do those meal prep services. Partner up with a lot of these companies, be it entertainment, aviation, whatever, who always hit the road, and then have like stops, or have like certain like, hey, we'll meet you here stops,
Yeah, I guess if you had them in different towns and you say, hey, you're in the Los Angeles area, and if you're working at any one of these airports within this vicinity and you need food, have a courier service, just like parts, right? But they'll courier your food over to you. That would be killer, because then you could like, hey, show up at the FBO, you walk inside, they got your food there, almost like a Grubhub or DoorDash thing, but I guess you could still do that in those locations, but not every place is. But I guess if you're prepaying ahead of time, maybe it's more financially better to do that, to do like the meal prep things rather than doing a Grubhub from a poke restaurant or a salad bar or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Either way, like that's now these are now options for you guys on the road, so it's not just the truck stops and the shitty, dingy hotel food, if they even have them,
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a really good idea. They could, it said a company could partner up with that and say, hey, we got this many guys who work and we work this region. Can you support us? And then maybe they don't even bring it to you on the road, but maybe they bring it to your home base and there's a cooler there where they store it at. And when you come on shift, you go, all right, and you just say, I'm supposed to go out for 2 days. So let me grab 4 meals or something, throw it in my cooler, and then get on the road, so you can pick them up at base. Actually, that's a good idea too.
Yeah. Tying all this together, life on the road. I mean, it sucks regardless of your industry, whether you're truckers, your entertainment, aviation, service call, independent contractors. It sucks. And sometimes, you get lucky and you get those jobs where in nicer areas. Sometimes you don't, where it's in those places where you just have to make do with the trucker food or the gas station stuff. And, there are alternatives for the healthy living, as we just said, but so it's just one of those things you just have to roll with the punches when you get them. And, we got to find ways to mitigate how you sleep, how you eat, how you do the work. That's so you're not over stressing yourself and then causing more problems than you're fixing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. A lot of our listeners might be wondering, well, just don't go on the road. It's a simple fact. Just work, get a job where you work at the home base and you work the same place every day and this and that. And that's an option. That is always an option. But as many of us know, and I'm sure, at least as Six and I know for our industry, and as Shoreline knows for his, to make the money, you're going to find yourself on the road. Yeah, you can make decent money at home base, but if you want to make some real good money, you're gonna be working your butt off on the road for it.
Absolutely.
And that's the simple fact.
Absolutely. Closing thoughts, MVP.
Take care of yourself. Be safe while on the road. Never push yourself to the point where you think you might have a car wreck or whatever else. There's no control out there that if you call them and say, hey, I got to stop for an hour to catch some Z's. I've been on the road for 12 hours coming to your plane. I just worked another one of your planes. They're not going to say, too bad, push through. Because if you got into an accident and got hurt, they're held liable at that point. Nobody's going to push you that way. So if you get to the point where it's just becoming an unsafe situation, take 5. Take 5, get some rest that you need, get some food, whatever it is you got to do. The job's not that important that you have to sacrifice yourself to that extent.
Absolutely. And that's a very good point. We would like to thank our patrons for supporting and helping us make this show. Your patronage has been monumentous help for us. Stephanie Boatman, Erica Lamont, Jenny Degnan, Thomas Connolly, Laura Mans, Brian Frashauer. You guys are true heroes to us as far as helping us make these episodes, helping us maintain our gear, keeping Shoreline happy to continue helping us make this podcast. If you like our show, please like, subscribe on all your listening platforms. Leave us a review if it allows you to. Check out our merch at cancelformaintenance.com. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/cancelformaintenance. And then follow along with us so you can hear some updates, some exclusive stuff specifically for you, the patrons, and the listeners. And if you have some stories or ideas that you want us to talk about, shoot us a line at cancelformaintenance.com on that contact us form. Or if you want to be a guest on the show, same way, use that cancelformaintenance.com contact form, and we'll do what we can to put your ideas on the show and or get you on the show.